gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. You look good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. Thursday, August 21st. Thank you guys so much for joining us. The countdown to football season continues here on the show. Everyone extremely excited. We are 8 days away from the high school football season, 9 days away from the open of Iowa football, if my math is correct. I think it is. Anyways, it's coming quick. A week from tomorrow is when the high school football season begins. A week from Saturday, we get rolling with Iowa football in Iowa City. Cannot wait to get going. So if you're watching us live on YouTube, we appreciate that. We thank you for that. If you subscribed, thank you. If you haven't subscribed, shame on you. Subscribe as soon as possible. Help us out as well. Tell a friend or two or 10 about what we're doing right here in the Quad Cities every single day off the air with Matt Randazzo. Every single weekday, I should say. No Saturdays or Sundays. That's the beauty part. We are live on X as well. X has been very, very good to us. And, of course, you can check us out on all your podcasting platforms as well. Spotify, Apple, Podbean, you name it. You can check out Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. So we thank you guys for doing that. We got a great show for you today. In a matter of moments, we're going to be joined by my good friend, Chad Leistikow, as we get ready for the Iowa football season. We talked with John Bonenkamp and Tom Kakert earlier this week. We got Pat Anger tomorrow, Gary Dolphin next week. We are getting set for the start of Iowa football and the start of Illinois football as well. Jake Brend yesterday from Ireland talking to us about the Cyclones. So college football season in full swing. Chad Leistikow in a matter of moments. Also coming up later in hour number one, it's going to be one of the best conferences in our area this year. The Three Rivers is loaded. Our good friend Ty Taylor from WRMJ will be by to break things down and talk about the big headlines and the stories as we enter the season in that conference. And then, of course, we'll continue our OTA high school football previews in Geneseo in hour number two and talk with Matt Furlong of the Geneseo Football program. So a lot to get to on today's show. Don't forget, coming up on Sunday is the Western Big Six Coaches Banquet down at the Rock Island Botanical Center. Doors open at 5:30. I'm excited again to MC the event once more. It's a ton of fun, great meal, great environment, great evening. So come join us down at the Botanical Center this Sunday for the Western Big Six Coaches Banquet as well. And of course, make sure you check out all the shows from this past week as well. A lot of good stuff. High school football season coming along. We've done, 8, 16, we're to 22 previews for high school football. So your team's out there. So go check it out. Great conversations with the coaches as well. Normally, we get to our news and notes of the day. I'm going to save that for a little bit later, including a really cool thing that happened over the weekend that we haven't touched on with Logan Lee and his versatility. We'll get to that in a little bit. Cubs won once again. We'll do our news and notes later on in the show because I want to maximize the amount of time I get to spend with my good friend, Chad Leistikow. My good friend, how are you? I know it's a crazy busy time, and it's funny because we both got so much on our plates right now. I want to talk Bears football with you and those two amazing drives, and I don't think I'm going to have the time to do that. That's okay.
Yeah, we'll have to punt that. We'll punt that till week 2 when the Bears play the Lions.
Oh, wow. Gosh, that is quick. Okay. How busy are you right now, and are you ready for the football season to begin?
Work-wise, it's just a lot of writing right now. There hasn't been, a ton of availability recently. There is a little session with Kirk Ferentz later today. I'm told that there's not going to be any news in that session, but he just wants to kind of recap what happened in fall camp. My buddy Tyler Tashman, who works with me at the Register, will be there for us because kids-wise and family-wise, it's also like I'm juggling they need rides everywhere all the time, and we both work full-time, and They haven't started school yet, so it's quite
Oh.
a juggling act. I haven't even really started work today, which is it's 10 o'clock. So yeah, but anyway, it's nobody cares about that, but they do care about Iowa football, which is coming quick. You're right, 9 days away here to the opener, and tons of storylines to unpack. Can't wait for it. It's always fun to kind of see the games happen.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody's ready for. I will say this, Chad. I'm just a chauffeur. I've become a chauffeur to my kids. Like I used to be a sports director in the area, and now I like do this as secondary. My main job, my full-time job is just to chauffeur kids around. My oldest gets his license in 6 weeks, and I cannot wait because he's going to become chauffeur number 2. So enough about us and our lovely family lives. Iowa football is coming, and I think it's funny these last couple weeks, everybody hungry for news and notes and something, because you got media day, you got kids day, and then you just kind of get shut off for a little bit. I want to go back to kids day for you, or with you, because that was our first sight of Mark Gronowski in an Iowa uniform. It was an up and down performance. I wasn't there, but from everything you hear, up and down. Of course, that has some pessimistic Hawkeye fans ready to push panic buttons already, which is wild. What did you get out of Kids Day, and what are your expectations for QB1?
Yeah, I had him 10 for 20 for 134 yards, and when I rewatched the film, I was probably a little bit more impressed than I was in person. And I'm with you. I described it as choppy that day in my live article and podcast. And, I would say that that's accurate because there were botched snaps. There was a pick 6 in there. You never want that. Great play by Cohen Entringer, of course. But so yeah, like mistakes that you don't want to see, but also very correctable, very, not red flags really necessarily, but, what do I expect from QB1? I mean, don't forget he's getting his first 11 on 11 reps here. He's had 3 weeks of them now with the Hawkeyes. So this isn't like, a sixth-year starter that's had, 70 months of reps with these guys. It's been 3 weeks of 11 on 11. So I think it could be a slower start to the season for Gronowski, but at the same time, I think he's going to be much further ahead of the game than Cade McNamara was. Obviously, injuries really curtailed him. Gronowski, by all accounts, they had the mic'd up video, with Tim Lester and Seth Wallace this week, where Gronowski looked fantastic, looked very physically capable. So it seems like he's in a really good place physically. McNamara never really was as a Hawkeye. And so I think he's going to be a lot further along than that. And I just think it's going to get better and better as the season goes on, as he gets more comfortable. And I also do think that they're going to allow him to run more than they say they're going to allow him to run, just because that's such a weapon in his arsenal, and especially, if he is at all off in the passing game. And I'm not saying he's going to be off, but like if he's just not super crisp early, I think the legs could be another way he could kind of make up for that until kind of everything gets, put together, so to speak.
Yeah, it's funny. I've had some people sneak into practice, Pat Anger being one of them, I think last Saturday. And that's the one thing he's more mobile than I thought he was, or I knew that he was. So not that they're going to diagram things for it as much, but I think you're going to see him using his legs much more effectively than we have Iowa quarterbacks in the past. Can you figure out the wide receiver stuff for me? Because it's fun. We've talked throughout the offseason and our good friend Tom Kakert as well. And like there's certain people that pop, and he loves Seth Anderson. Van Zees looked really good. Jacob, it seems, and when we talked to Mark Gronowski on this show at Iowa Football Media Day, he said it's a great menu. There's different flavors of what you who leads this team in receiving, and we know the history. I was reading, Tom talks about it all the time, but I was reading some of your stuff the other day, and it's been since what was it, Marvin McNutt in 2011?
Yeah.
I mean, that was the really good season, but other than that, it's 722 yards is the high since that. Who's that wide receiver that Chad Leistikow? Do you have a guy right now?
Well, you're right. That's gonna be a fun part of it too. It's not like there's just an obvious returning stud. There's 8 of them. There's 8 guys that are in the mix. It seems like probably the two guys that have the most upside to have like a big year receiving wise to me would be Reese Vander Zee, because it sounds like he's had a really good fall camp. Came on toward the end of spring practice, and then he's got the physical tools. I mean, he's 6'4", 210 ish, and he says he's gotten a lot faster. He's just learning the game. He was a true freshman last year and also hurt for half the season. And then the other guy is Seth Anderson. I mean, this is a guy you brought in as a pretty highly acclaimed transfer from the FCS level, of course, but the son of Flipper Anderson, who, remains one of the Rams' all-time leading receivers. So, a big name. And he's got a lot of speed, and he's got some size too. So if he's healthy, that was the guy that impressed me the most. I mean, I don't think there's any argument there. Aside from Nathan McNeil, offensively, Seth Anderson was the most impressive Hawkeye on Kids Day. So those would be the two I would pick. And then the wild card, I think I put this in my bold predictions article, but the KJ Parker would be the other one that I think they're keeping under wraps right now. I'm interested to see how much they unleash him against Albany in week 1, but I think that's a guy that behind the scenes, he's kind of like the Cohen Entringer of offense. You hear about him for a while. You just hear about how great he is in practice, and you're just kind of waiting for it to show up in games. I feel like we're going to see that with Entringer, no doubt, this year. Yeah. And then we'll just see when that happens for KJ Parker. But he's got ball skills, speed, ability to get open, but he's just very young. He's a redshirt freshman. So we'll see. But those would be the three. I know I'm forgetting. I mean, I'm not forgetting, but I'm omitting Jacob Gill, who was the leading receiver last year. He had a 411-yard season, Matt, and that was the highest yardage total of a wide receiver at Iowa since 2019. So no 500-yard receivers. No, tight ends, yes, but receivers, no 500-yard receivers since 19. So I think that changes this year.
It's crazy, Chad, because you think about pass catchers, and we don't talk about tight ends. And usually you start with tight ends and then get to the wide receivers. And that's not taking anything away from the tight ends themselves. Addison Ostrenga and company, I think, are more than capable of having good seasons. But I think it shows the growth of the wide receiver room. Chad Leistikow joining us right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. You mentioned Nathan McNeil. Oh, there's some people excited about the McNeil kid. What did you see? What have you heard? And can you figure out the backfield? Like, who leads this team in rushing at the end of the season? Because everyone loves McNeil and the freshman. You still have Jazz. You still have Kamari. There's a lot of pieces. Your thoughts on McNeil, and then who leads this backfield? Who's the leading rusher for the Iowa Hawkeyes this year?
Yeah, as long as he's healthy, I think Kamari Moulton's definitely the main guy this year. He's got all the tools. He's got the endorsement of Liddell Betts going out the door, and he looked good in the spring. But he's just been, they said on the BTN show, dealing with a hamstring, and that's never good. Yeah. We haven't seen him in any practice videos recently, so that'll be one thing maybe Kirk Ferentz can answer this afternoon. But yeah, I think Moulton would definitely be my favorite to lead the team, but I think it's going to be committee. I mean, they really like TJ Washington, what he can do as a pass catcher. I think that's another aspect that Iowa's just not really done a good job of at all for a long time, is have a running back who can be a receiver as well. And I think they see that, especially in TJ Washington. So I think he could be a real wild card guy, maybe not rushing totals, but total yardage could be an interesting candidate there at running back. And then, McNeil is the riser. He wears 25. He looks like Akram Wadley out there, but he's bigger. I mean, he comes in at 203. And I did watch his high school film yesterday, actually, for the first time, just thinking about, because I saw a Hawkeye game film tweeted out, and wow, yeah, that was impressive looking game film. He looked a lot like Caleb Johnson to me out there. So he's got a really smooth, fast running style like Caleb did, and also some wiggle like Akram did. And where's that number 25? So those, and then Jazz Patterson's kind of there. Xavier Williams, they really like him. Brevin Dahl, they really like him too. The pure speed that he has. So there's 6 guys that could carry the ball this year, but I would say Moulton is still going to be your main back. But it could, as always, Iowa needs plenty of running backs, with injuries and whatnot. They got lucky last year with Caleb staying healthy. But even in the bowl game, remember, Moulton and Patterson almost combined for 200 yards in that ball game. So they were completely effective. Iowa's offensive line is really good. And so whoever's back there should be able to have a decent season rushing the ball.
Predictions are all over the place with this team. I've seen 10-2. Our good friend Tom Kakert has them 9-3. I don't know if you put one out or not yet, but you see 8-4, 9-3, 10-2, all those kind of things. You look at the schedule and it's really hard. One thing I want to talk to you about was that schedule, and Iowa hasn't beaten a top 10 team since 2021, and I know in your bowl predictions article, that's one of the things you had. It seems like besides Iowa State, the ranked teams they play right now are at Kinnick Stadium. That's a huge help. But the lack of success against top 10 teams hasn't been like, boy, they almost got them here, or almost. I mean, it's been butt kickings every single time. I think like 6 times since 2021. Your thoughts on the predictions of the season and that getting Oregon, getting Penn State, getting those teams at home. I think the home schedule could make for a lot of fun in Iowa City.
The schedule is definitely fun, and it's very interesting because most years when you go through the game by games, there's like 7, 8, maybe even 9 games where you're pretty sure what's going to happen. This year there's 2.
Yeah.
Albany and UMass. You're sure about those. Iowa's going to be 2-0 in those games, okay? The other 10, who knows? At Iowa State, at Rutgers, at who am I forgetting? At Wisconsin, at USC, at Nebraska. Those are your 5 road games. And then your home games, you mentioned 3 top 10s plus Minnesota plus Michigan State, a team that beat you last year. Minnesota is a team that beat you in Kinnick in 2023. So nothing easy, any of those. None of those are easy. And I think it's interesting to see, like, national writers will say, well, their schedule's not that bad because they don't get Ohio State or Michigan. But Iowa fans know that that's a really tough schedule because every one of those games, there's rivalries. Iowa State, Wisconsin, Nebraska, they may not look like giants on the road to the national pundits, but they are, we know how tough those games are going to be. I mean, Iowa rarely plays well at Wisconsin. So anyway, I did bullishly pick Iowa 10-2, but it's a very optimistic view. It's banking on this being a good team. I think it is a good team. They got to stay healthy, but they're gonna have to win close games. And the reason I have them winning a lot of close games this year is because their special teams should be the best, if top 5 in the country, if not the best in the country at special teams. I mean, Drew Stevens, should win a game by himself at some point. Reese Dakin is tremendous. Caden Weechin, can flip the field at any point. So those are the types of things that I feel like Iowa's built this year to win those close games. And, you look at the games they lost last year, Michigan State, UCLA, Iowa State. I mean, those are 3 games they should have won, even with the horrible quarterback play that they had. I mean, the only one they should have lost was Ohio State. And honestly, the bowl game they should have won too. So I feel like it could flip this year, and that's kind of why I'm more bullish on the record-wise. But it's going to be a really tough schedule.
No, I completely agree. First off, they didn't lose to Minnesota in 2023. They did, but I just want Iowa fans going to get mad at you. They did, but they didn't. We don't want to go down all that as well. So, and you're right about the special teams. It's one of those things where close games for Iowa, and everything I've heard from Reese Dakin is, boy, he's Tory Taylor-esque when it comes to the way he's kicking the football right now. Last one before I let you go, because I know you got a lot to get to and all those kind of things. Kirk Ferentz, you're number 27. And I got to talk to him on my show up in Iowa City, and you look at him and he looks great, and he's as sharp as ever. I don't see this, and I know, every time I talk to Kakert, he's about this situation. He's like, maybe he's in the bottom of the 8th, 9th inning, and kind of uses the baseball analogy. I know eventually, all good things come to an end, but I see him coaching 2-3 more years. Do you have a thought when you look at not Tom Kakert? Don't look at Tom Kakert. When you look at Kirk Ferentz, it's not fun. You look at year 27 and the records he's about to break and all those kind of things. Just your thoughts on Kirk Ferentz as we enter year number 27 at Iowa.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have a sit down with him this summer. It had been a little bit since I had one, and it was very. I definitely got the vibe that he's nowhere close to thinking about that. He also knows that that moment could come at any point, and he just loves coaching too much. I put this in my bold predictions article that he would stay at least 3 more years. Um, and then if he's going to stay three, why not four? Because that would get him to year 30, right? So,
Yeah.
he's making 7.1 million a year, and he loves what he's doing. So why walk away? He's got a great coaching staff. He's in great fitness. We all remember Hayden struggled with his health down the stretch, but that's not the case with Kirk Ferentz. I mean, he's fit. He's actually kind of ripped for age 70.
He's in better shape than I am.
Yeah, I mean he works out tirelessly, and I loved his quote there because not everyone has a boss like this, and I do feel like that this is something that is appreciated by all the people over there in the Iowa football building, is that he feels like he needs to be the hardest worker in that building, or setting the example, because he said he owes it to everybody on his staff, everybody in that building. He owes it to the players, the coaches, and then they work hard for him. I mean, they do work really tirelessly. He tries to give them their time off in the summer. He's still a family-friendly coach in that sense, but they are all about the business, and he is too. As Tyler Barnes told me in one of our radio shows this summer, he has no hobbies. I think Mary, his wife, would prefer he's not in the house, 23 hours a day as well. And that's not it's just kind of a humorous, they have kind of their own worlds, and that works for them. And
Yeah.
but he's also very family centered. His grandkids are nearby. I mean, there's really no reason to walk away. And I think this could be a fun stretch too coming up. I really like the quarterbacks that are coming up behind Gronowski. I think that gives Iowa a lot of hope for the future. O-line will take a step back next year a little bit, but that roster is only getting better depth wise. I mean, you look at the linebackers, you look at the secondary, you look at the running backs, you look at the receivers. They got a bunch of tight ends coming in. I mean, they've really recruited well, and so they could be pretty good for a while. And I just don't see him walking away. Now, could he? Sure, but I'm going to say he's at least here through 2027.
Yeah, God willing.
Bold prediction.
Yeah, God willing, I think. And you mentioned when you get into your 70s, who knows what happens, but he's in great shape and as sharp as can be. Hey, I get to the big kid table this year. I'm up in the press box. I hear the food's really good. Thank you for letting me sit at the big kid table. I don't know if you guys might kick me out by week 2 or 3, but especially when I'm talking Lions all the time. But the food I hear is better than down on the sideline. Is that true?
I don't know. I've never had the sideline food. I've just had the snobby press box food. So
I love it.
I don't know. You can come in and live with the kings up there. No, it's a stressful environment, honestly, for me. But it'll be fun to have you up there. You can just hang out with Pat and soak in his expertise.
That's the thing, is I got to work because you guys are going to be hard working, and my show's done, so I got to. I don't want to be that annoying little brother that's like, get out of here, leave us alone. So
I don't want you to be either. I don't like.
No,
I'm
exactly.
locked in
I've already
pretty
been
much
warned.
3 hours before the game. So
Yep, I've already been warned by Caker to leave him alone. So and everybody else as well. So hey, my friend, I appreciate it. I will see you soon up in Iowa City. Can't wait to get rocking and rolling, and best of luck with and tell people how you literally have 1,800 podcasts and shows, but quickly plug all of your stuff so people here in the eastern side of the state and the Quad City area can get locked in on all the Hawkeye coverage.
Yeah, if you just go on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcast, search Hawk Central, 2 words. We do 3 a week during the football season, 1 a week in the off season, but 3 a week starts next week for that. And then Scott Docterman and I do our Legends and Listeners podcast. You can find that on Iowa Everywhere. So 4 podcasts a week for me, plus 6 columns, something like that in the Register. So we'll get going soon, but it's my favorite time of year. Honestly, it's the favorite thing I cover.
And yet you find time to come on with my goofy ass and talk sports. I appreciate it. That makes it mean even more. So, Chad, I'll talk to you real soon. I appreciate you.
Yep, you bet, Matt. Thanks.
All right, that is Chad Leistikow. Honestly, one of the best in the business when it comes to covering the Iowa Hawkeyes, doing it in a professional, amazing way, and also read his stuff. It's really, really good. I was, and I usually read it all the time, but I was catching up on some of it this morning and last night, and his bold predictions are awesome, all those kind of things as well. So check out Chad's stuff. Iowa football coming before you know it. We mentioned we're efforting to get Pat on the show tomorrow. We got to go up to Iowa City tonight, and I'm worried about it for some radio thing. So not worried about it, just I don't know how lively I'm going to be in the morning. So I'm going to make him be lively and come on with me tomorrow, hopefully. And then next week, we're looking at Gary, Dolphin, and several others as we work our way to the Iowa football season. Don't forget, Iowa football has a new home here in the Quad Cities as well. WQUD Vintage Radio FM 107.7 here in the Quad Cities is the new home for Iowa football. So make sure if you're roaming around, driving around, you get that programmed on your radio as well, because there's a new home for the first time in a long time, and we're excited to get working with them and all those kind of things as well. So WQUD, ironic, WQUD Vintage Radio 107.7 right here in the Quad Cities. We got more to get to. Ty Taylor, speaking of radio and legends, radio legend Ty Taylor, coming up right after the break. We're going to talk about the Three Rivers Conference, because we've talked to a lot of the coaches in the conference, and everyone talks nice about how good everybody is. So we're going to kind of figure it out ourselves. And then later on in the show, Geneseo's Matt Furlong will preview the Maple Leafs. That, and we got some news and notes to get to still. We got some stuff on Logan Lee. The Cubs won again, 3 straight over the Brewers. They got another game at 120. All of that. What else was I going to hit on? Oh, Tyler Bagent is a happy man because he's got some money in his pocket as a backup quarterback for the Bears. So we'll talk about all that and much more. Ty Taylor right after the break, right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need Mobile Party Experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile Party Experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470 and book your Mobile Party Experience today. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. We are 1 week and a day away from high school football. And we've had a blast over the last 2+ weeks, now almost 3 weeks, of previewing high school football teams around the area. Love talking to the coaches and getting their insight. But one thing I wanted to do was get the experts' insight as well. And when you think experts, you got to go to my favorite Taylor down in Aledo at WRMJ. Ty Taylor joins me right now. First and foremost, young man, are you ready for football?
I'm ready to get going, man. It's amazing. The summer feels like it both takes forever and goes really, really fast, transitioning from the spring to the fall. So I do appreciate you calling me your favorite Taylor. And I will say, I've never been on Paula Sands Live, so Off the Air with Matt Randazzo is a nice consolation prize.
That is. Your dad set a low bar, so it's not like it's a great thing to be at my favorite Taylor, but it's a good thing as well. Boy, the last couple weeks we're talking Three Rivers with all these coaches, and I felt like a broken record, but I was like, man, the conference is going to be really good. And they all agreed, obviously, they're in the conference. From the outside looking in, and you cover it really well, it is going to be good on both sides, isn't it?
Yeah, it should be really good. And I think the word I would use more so than, good is competitive, because I really think that, the top, there's 12 teams in the league split across 2 divisions. I mean, I think, 9, 10 teams should be really competitive, and teams that probably are coming into the season saying we should or could be a playoff team, where traditionally, it's when you see 12-team high school conferences, a lot of the time that's not it. You kind of know coming in who the top 6 or so are. But this year, like I said, I think there's a little bit of a divide in both divisions, which I'm sure we'll get into in a moment, with maybe the top 2 on each side. But really, like those teams that are 3 through 6 on the Mississippi side and the Rock side of the conference, I think all could potentially, if things go well, beat each other. And, they're all teams that I think have playoff aspirations coming into the year, which makes, every game exciting, because a lot of the times in high school football, really, of course, there's a playoff chase. But when you talk about regular season games that you get later in the year, you're kind of just zeroing in on, okay, what's the conference title race look like? But for this year, I think in the track especially, it's something where if you're looking towards the end of the season, it's going to be really exciting, because there are going to be a lot of teams fighting for playoff spots that are all playing each other week in and week out. And I think a lot of games are going to be coming down to the wire, 1-possession, 2-possession games that should be tight throughout the whole year. So I think it's going to be a really exciting year. And really, when you look down the schedule, every week there's at least, 2 or 3 games that you're like, man, those have potential to be really good, really competitive, and really high impactful games in terms of who wins and loses.
Yeah, you look at week 1. I haven't looked at a lot of the schedule, but I know it's Princeton and Newman. It's like, okay, that's a nice way to start the season. You look at 12 teams, Ty, and the numbers. I'm not the numbers dork and all that kind of stuff. And how many teams can make it playoff wise? Is it just get to a point where you eat your own, and right. Can you get more than 8, 9?
It's hard to, because the track is closed conference, which, there are enough teams that none of the schools play any non-conference games. So they all just play each other all year. So I guess it depends, like I was kind of talking about earlier, if teams are able to, maybe 3 teams play each other. One team, team A beats team B beats team C, and then team C beats team A. If you have some stuff like maybe get some more teams in, but I would think, and again, I'm not a numbers guru either. We maybe should have had Brian Stocking on the call with us to let us know how Riverdale is going to go 9-0, and all the Davenport public schools are going to go, never lose a game, even though they have to play each other. But I would say 8 is probably the maximum in like a perfect world that you could get it. Like I said, somebody unfortunately has to lose every week, because there are no non-conference games for the schools in the league.
I think that maybe I was going to ask you what the headline going into the season was. We may have covered it with just competitiveness and the conference being really good. Is there what's the most intriguing storyline that you have ahead of you in the Three Rivers? And there's probably a bunch of them, but is there a storyline that you're like, man, I'm intrigued to see if this happens or how this plays out?
Well, something I'm interested in is just every year Princeton, it feels like they lose like 5 at least great players. Like the last 3 years now, they've graduated Division I talent, each of the 3 years. And they just reload every year. And last season they had what I would call kind of a shocking loss. Not that they lost, but the result, they lost by 28 points, 31-3 to Monmouth Roseville midway through the year. And Monmouth Roseville went on to win the conference on that side of the league. So to me, it just is how they replace somebody like Noah Laporte. I know they had a few running backs that graduated as well. Ace Christensen was a great player on both sides of the ball for them. So how they look, I still expect them to have a great year. But how they're able to kind of respond to not winning the conference title last year. And I know that they went on to have a great, postseason run, got to the quarterfinals before losing to Montini eventually. And then I think another one is with Newman Central Catholic, who brings back a lot of talent from last year. They actually have a transfer coming in from Morrison. Rylan Alvarado is his name, he's going to be a junior this year, and he contributed for Morrison ever since his freshman year. He was a big part of Morrison winning the state championship as a team in Class 1A track and field in Illinois in the spring. I think he was on a couple of relays that were actually the state champions, and I think the 4x100 and the 4x200. So he's a really dynamic running back, and for them, really the only key pieces they lost offensively, at least, were their three main running backs. So they get a kid like that to transfer in that should be a really high-level contributor for them, not just for this year, but for next year too. Defensively, they lost a lot of key pieces that they need to replace, but that's a team too that I expect. You talk about Newman, they're always really competitive and always really good year in, year out, but I think they're a team, even after a successful year last year, are primed to take a step forward in 2025 again too.
It's funny, you don't think Three Rivers football, I shouldn't say you don't think automatically quarterbacks, but you think running games and all those kind of things. There's been some fantastic quarterbacks in the conference, so before I get in trouble from all those people, yes, there's awesome quarterbacks in the conference, but you look around this year and there's the headliners, but then there's also just everybody I talk to from Riverdale to Erie Prophetstown, it's like we got him back and we feel great about him. Newman, Evan Bushman's been there for 107 years, I think he's been running that offense. So talk about that position, and obviously there's the headliners with the Cullen Schweigen and the Cale Fillers and those type, but the talent individually, there's really good teams and competitive teams, but I think some of the individual talent is fun in this league as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of, as some teams have got new coaches this year, there's a lot more, I guess, of a stylistic difference between schools, where it felt like a couple of years ago we would joke like the games and the track would all take like 3 hours because every team was throwing 40 passes a game and going 4 wide. But that's kind of mellowed out a little bit. But yeah, talking about quarterbacks, I think there's a definite top two right now. When you look at Rockridge Junior Cullen Schweigen, who has just been, incredible through his first 2 years. And you talked about like a kid like Evan Bushman, who feels like been at Newman forever. Feels like Cullen Schweigen's been at Rockridge for like 10 years, and he still has another season after this one to play still. So he's so great. And Cale Filler at Orion is so great too. A kid who is, both will be 4-year starters and never, hopefully barring any injury, miss a game starting at quarterback for their respective teams. And I think that's one of the storylines too we were talking about a minute ago. Like, those two are such kind of different type of players, but they're both so skilled in what they do, where, Cullen is such a great athlete, and his arm strength, is just next level for a high school quarterback. His running ability, he runs so strong. He's so big. He just is really good at every aspect of playing quarterback. And then a kid like Cale Filler is like, to me, I always describe him as your prototypical coach's kid. He's always, it feels like you never see him make a bad throw, never make a bad read, never make a bad decision. His accuracy is really impressive. He's a sneaky runner. He doesn't have breakaway speed, isn't super physical, but he can run the ball when he needs to. And then just like I said, with him, it's always, he's putting the ball in the right place, and he knows, where he wants to go, the progression, he knows look 1, look 2, look 3, very efficient in terms of, being able to get the ball out. And he's got some really good receiving weapons this year. Orion's another team that obviously the story with them last year was the numbers. They struggled, I think, had 23 kids. They're up to about 37. I talked with Coach Filler earlier in the week. So that's a good sign for them in 2025. And then there are a bunch of other quarterbacks that I think are really solid players. A kid like Carter Brown at Sherrard, who was an All-Stater last year in Class 3A. I think he was the first All-Stater at Sherrard in 15 years. He's been such a dynamic player. I think a unanimous first-team all-conference player every year since his freshman year. You mentioned Evan Bushman's played a bunch of snaps at Newman at quarterback. And, you can go down the line. A lot of teams have kids back at quarterback who have played a lot and have contributed a lot and have been very successful in, 2, 3, or in some cases even 4 years under center.
Yeah, you look at it, and Carter Brown is another kid that we can put in the category. It was kind of fun to ask each other like what they respect about each other. It was a cool segment with Cullen and I almost said Chip. Gosh, Kale. And he's such a better dude than Chip, and Chip knows that. So that's the cool thing, and they played a lot of football, I think, in this conference as well. There's some new conference coaches. Sherrard has a new coach, not a new name by any stretch of imagination, but a new coach. Where you're sitting right now in Aledo, Mercer County has a new coach as well. Let's start with Mercer County, and I'm hoping to have their new coach on next week at some point, but I'm running out of time. People are like, hey, are you going to have this coach, that coach? And I'm like, oh, gosh, the season's starting soon. But what's the vibe in Mercer County? It's a new era in Mercer County. What do you expect from your alma mater coming up this year?
Yeah, I think expectations for them are decently high. They've got a really good, solid senior group of kids. A lot of them were two-way starters last year. And, last year was kind of an unfortunate year for them in a lot of different ways. The kids, I don't really think were dealt a great hand, and none of it really, or I should say all of it was out of their control. None of it was really their fault. So they were kind of looking for a fresh start, I think, in a lot of different ways in 2025. They get a kid back in Tannen Whitehall who, was an all-conference player his sophomore year, their last year in the Lincoln Land Conference. And, last season they were looking for a lot out of him. He unfortunately got hurt. And I think the third quarter of the first game of the year and basically missed the whole season. He's their top running back, a really kind of speedy, shifty, not a huge kid, but he's definitely a playmaker for them. And then he was a starter on the defensive side of the ball last year, projected to be at safety, was their main kick returner. So that's three really important pieces that you lose in one injury, basically, in week one last year. So from there, they had to shift some things around, found another really good running back in Mason Gray, who's back as a senior this year, too. With new head coach Fred Lucas coming in, he's been an assistant for the program for 8 years, had some head coaching experience at United and a few co-ops, Roseville, Yorkwood, and Westwood, going way back in the time machine to talk about those co-ops. But it looks like offensively is going to look a lot different, last season and in years prior for Mercer County. A lot of shotgun stuff with 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs a lot of the time, pistol looks. Now it looks like they're going to be a traditional wing T team, which, the personnel they have I like, with the 2 main running backs that I mentioned with Whitehall and Gray. Their quarterback, John Baldwin, is a really high-level track kid who has a lot of speed. I think he's a great runner when he's able to get out into space. And up front, I think they bring back 3 or 4 starters that have all played a lot. Their left tackle, Caden Terrell, is a really high-level offensive lineman that everybody I talked to last year, both internally for them and then like opposing coaches, just raved about the type of player he was at left tackle for them. So it's going to look different for Mercer County. It's going to be weird seeing that program run out of a wing tee because it's something that they've never really done, dating back to even the Aledo days, or haven't done in a long time, at least as long as I've been around. So I think expectations for them are high, like I said, with the senior group. But again, they're one of those teams like we touched on right at the beginning that is in that group that there are a lot of teams on the schedule that you could theoretically see them winning to. There also are a lot of teams that they theoretically could lose to. There's a lot of toss-up games on their schedule. So I think week one is really important. They kick off against Monmouth Roseville next week at home. They were competitive with them for a half last year, and then it kind of got out of control in the second half for them. But going to be really interesting to see how they match up with the physicality with Monmouth Roseville in week one, because I think that's going to tell a lot about how things will go with this new look offense for them.
Gosh, you start talking matchups for week one. See, I'm used to I probably would already know back in my former life, like, hey, these are the runs and the schedule, all that kind of stuff. There's some amazing, really good football games coming up in week one. I want to touch on Sherrard real quick before I put your feet to the fire and make you pick like some winners of the conference and all that kind of stuff. Dan McGuire, talking about the wing tee and that kind of look at Sherrard. It was a different change there, a later change there, not as late as some schools have had, but a little bit later of a change. Your thoughts and what have you heard from him hitting the ground running? Someone that was familiar with the program, kind of around the program the last couple of years out there as an assistant coach, or as an assistant principal, and helping things out. Your thoughts on Dan McGuire and what Sherrard could bring this year?
Well, he's got a unique challenge because, for a few different reasons, Sherrard, recently hasn't had a whole lot of success win-loss wise in football. I think it's been something like 15 or 16 years since they've been in the playoffs. And for him taking over, one of the main challenges is just getting kids to come out and play, because Sherrard, right now they are really good in a lot of sports. And for whatever reason, they haven't been able to figure football. The numbers for them this year, I was just out over there yesterday talking with him to do some preseason stuff. Low to mid 30s, it looks like, in the whole program. But they've got, I believe, 13 seniors. So he's been able to get a couple of new senior kids to come out that have either, played before and then stopped playing, or haven't played before, that all they expect are pretty good athletes that play other sports at Sherrard that they think should contribute on both sides of the ball. I think with that senior group, we mentioned Carter Brown earlier. They have 4 senior offensive linemen that are coming back that have all started since they were sophomores. A couple of other teams last year. I think at one point last season they had 5 or 6 two-way starters out at one time. So that's the thing. I think just trying to get numbers back up. I do think Sherrard will be more competitive than maybe people expect them to be coming into the year externally, just because of how much I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Experience they have, you know what I mean? But it's one of those things where it is a challenge for him, I think, because of just the lack of traditional success. Football is a sport that I think is so hard to turn around because of all that, goes into it. And there aren't that many games, so you got to really take advantage of wins when you get the chance to. So I do think they have a chance to, like I said, be a little bit better than people expect. But it is going to be a challenge just because of the lack of numbers they're dealing with. One thing, though, that I do like is his staff he's put together, even though he got hired really late in the game in May and officially hired in June to take over for a season that, as we know, kicks off in August. They added Jeff Schmolbach, who has had coaching experience at Alleman, that I think was a nice addition to their staff. Have a few coaches back that had previously been with the staff that the kids are familiar with. So, we'll see. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't really know what to expect, I guess, is the way I feel. It's not really a great answer to your question. No. They have a tough start to the schedule. They go Rock Ridge week 1. They have Princeton week 3. They have Mercer County sandwiched in there, which is a traditional, both rival and a program that traditionally has had success. So for them, it's a tough start to the schedule. I think, week 2 against Mercer County is where we'll probably learn the most about where they're at early in the year, just because of how good Rock Ridge and Princeton project to be. So we'll see. I guess I've heard from most people that they've enjoyed working with Coach McGuire. He's done a good job of, kind of drumming up some excitement in the school and around the program. But, doing that preseason and being able to keep that going into season are two separate things. So I guess we'll see how it goes. But like I said, they do have a nice nucleus of senior kids that can hopefully for them to get things off on the right foot here in 2025.
Absolutely. Ty Taylor joining me right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, down from WRMJ down in Aledo, from the palatial estates that is a WRMJ these days. I love it. I want to kind of go through the 2 conferences and just kind of pick maybe a winner. It's something that I didn't do a lot of when I was at WQAD, and you get, because when you pick one winner in each conference or division, you're picking 5 teams that don't. So you hear more from the 5 that don't than the one team that does. But and let's start with the Mississippi, which is the Mississippi. It's not the big or the large, despite what Stockpile tried to convince everybody the other night at the party. Boy, I'm going to let you go. Mississippi division. Who do you see winning this thing in the end?
So I've got Princeton as the favorite. Like we touched on earlier, they had that loss to Monmouth-Roseville last year. Monmouth-Roseville, I expect to compete with them again this year. I just think Princeton, they just have too much at too many positions. They just are so deep, it feels like everywhere. Where for them, I think they're consistent enough and good enough and have enough kids that they should be able to kind of reclaim that spot as the top team, both I think in the conference and then also on that side of the league in the Mississippi division. I expect Monmouth Roseville to be probably the runner-up on that side. And then like we talked about way back at the beginning of our conversation, you talk about Kewanee, Sherrard, Hull, Mendota, all teams that, I think should be able to compete with each other down there. I think Kewanee may be a little bit further along than the other three. But I think there is kind of a divide on that side of the conference where it's probably Princeton, Monmouth Roseville, and the rest of the teams kind of in a mixed bag, seeing who can win enough games to get to the postseason. But to answer your question, I see Princeton as the favorite. They've had so much success with Ryan Pearson, and like we talked about earlier too, they just reload year after year. They have a bunch of great players graduate, and they just replace them with a bunch of great players that are a few years younger than them. So I'm looking forward to kind of seeing how they're able to reload this year like they always do. But I think coming into the year, they're definitely the favorite.
It's funny because I was going to say to be the best, you got to beat the best, and you got to go with Princeton until somebody beats them. And then I'm like, oh, wait. Monmouth Roseville did beat them last year, but you mentioned it. It was such a good postseason for Princeton. Besides that loss, they have a lot of momentum going into this year. Yes, they got to replace a lot of names. You mentioned it, like the names at that school. You get used to saying them, and you're like, how are they going to replace, this kid? And then the next one comes along, and you're like, okay, that's how they're going to replace them. So I do think Princeton, and the way they lost last year down in Monmouth Roseville, I think was surprising. I wasn't surprised that Monmouth Roseville beat them. I just didn't think it was going to be 31-3. So I would agree. I got a quiet confidence from Jeremy Adolphson that he likes what he has. And he can't say enough about what he's done with that program since he's been there. And now it is a perennial, okay, Monmouth Roseville's in the mix. Are they going to win it? Are they going to be a playoff team? It's not if they're going to make the playoffs. It's now to the point where they win a playoff game or two and all those kind of things. So really respect what he's done with that program. I'll go with Princeton as well, just simply because, everyone tells me how good they're going to be, and they always are really good. So I'll go with Princeton as well. I think the more competitive division might be the Rock. Let me get you handicap that one for me, and then I'll give you my thoughts as well.
So I've got Newman Central Catholic as the favorite there. I think they have enough talent coming back. Plus, like we talked about, the addition of Rylan Alvarado through the transfer portal, we can say, right, to come in and help them out and kind of boost them on both sides of the ball. I just really like what they do. Defensively, they're always so solid. And I think the team that'll give them the run for their money is Rock Ridge. But if you look at, the past 2 years, Newman has beat Rock Ridge, and they're really the only team that has been able to both, slow Colin Schweigen down at all and also keep Rock Ridge out of the end zone. I think both games, and granted 2 years ago it was Schweigen's first game as a varsity quarterback as a freshman, but I think both games that Rock Ridge has played them the past 2 years, they've only scored one touchdown. And last year it went to overtime, and Newman got a big defensive stop at the end to win that game in overtime. So I like Newman. Rock Ridge, though, has a lot of talent back too. Rock Ridge, though, they kind of year after year continue to get less deep. They're having to play more kids on both sides of the ball. Schweigen is projecting to play defense this year too, either at kind of an outside linebacker or safety type role, which will be the first time he'll play defensively at the varsity level. The past 2 years as freshman and sophomore, he's just played quarterback. And again, you look down the rest of the league, it's kind of a similar story to what we were talking about on the Mississippi side, where you talk about Riverdale, Mercer County, Orion, Erie, Provincetown are all teams that theoretically could all beat each other and all go maybe 2-1 or whatever against each other when the four teams play each other. But if you look at a dark horse, if you want to say it, even I don't know if you can really say that because I know there's a lot of hype and expectations for this year, especially. But a team like Riverdale, I'm really intrigued into what they're going to do in 2025. They have so much talent back, and they're such a great story because 3 years ago now they had to cancel their entire season because they had 18 kids out. Coach Derek told me they're up to 54 now, which is just an incredible turnaround because a lot of the times when you see schools have to cancel a season, and I say this all the time, there's always the worry that they're never coming back. And to go from 18 to 54 in just 3 years, and it's not just, the quantity of kids, it's the quality of players they have too. They have a lot of kids who have played a ton for them. Their senior class is solid. Their junior class is solid. I know their freshman and sophomore groups are really they've had a lot of success at the younger levels too. So it's a program that feels like they have the opportunity to really turn the corner. Last year, they took a huge step forward, winning 4 games, coming up about, I think, 3 points shy of getting into the postseason. A tough Week 8 loss for them to haul on the road. But, I think that's a team that probably is a playoff team for the first time in a long time. And I just am really excited to see the type of energy they can have around the program. I know they kick off the season against Mendota, which is definitely a winnable game for them. They beat Mendota last year. So Riverdale is a team that I'm really looking forward to following this year because of, like I said, the history and them coming back and now being at this point where it feels like both internally and externally there's expectations for them to have a successful year for the first time in a long time.
Boy, it's almost like a broken record, but boy, I agree with a lot of what you say. It's funny. And we had Coach LeMay on yesterday, and there's just a quiet confidence about like he really likes what he has back, and there's no weaknesses. And here I am in Rock Ridge country. I'm worried to say I think they're going to have a fantastic season. Like, Ty, you look at the schedule, and you can do this for any of these teams, but you're looking at Rock Ridge, and they open with rival Sherrard, but then they go Princeton, Riverdale, Erie, Prophetstown, Newman, Orion, Mercer County. But then you go look at the Newman schedule. It's the same thing. I mean, it's amazing how each week there's going to be intriguing games. I think the 2 best teams are probably Newman and Rock Ridge. I don't think it's one of those things where it maybe has been in the past that the winner of that game is going to win the conference, because I can see these other teams having a say in who determines the winner. I'm going to go Newman. I hope my car doesn't get like tires slashed or anything like that. I think Rock Ridge is going to have a great season. They have to replace some guys up front, and what they have skill wise until we see them replace them, which I think they'll be fine. They maybe have a bigger question mark going into the season than what Newman has, because you mentioned they have to replace some running backs. Well, they did that in a pretty good way with the Morrison kids. So I will go Newman, edging Rock Ridge. But, man, you look at it, I mean, I think Riverdale is going to be a playoff team. I'm really excited about them. Erie, Prophetstown, Orion, you got me sold on Mercer County now. So it's one of those things that there's going to be a team at the end of the year that's going to be really good at 4-5 or 3-6 and on the outside looking in. I think it bodes very well for this conference when you look at what Erie, Prophetstown did last year, nearly beating a 2 seed, 1 seed in week number 1. I think if you get a team from the Three Rivers that's 5-4 and coming out and going on the road and playing somebody, you could easily see them win a first round playoff game because of how tested they're going to be this year as well. So, man, I hope those Rock Ridge people don't get me for this, but I'll go with. Hey, so is there a WRMJ helmet? Like, why do I have like all these cool helmets, but I don't have like a WRMJ helmet? Like, is that a thing?
I don't know. I've never seen one. I could try to figure it out. If we ever do get a helmet, I will send one to the plush Randazzo estate.
There's nothing plush about it anymore right now. Our basement flooded. We got stuff torn up. It's no fun right now. But tell us about WRNJ real quick. Your guys' fall, what it looks like, pump your product, all that kind of stuff. Because when it comes to Three Rivers football, you have 4 teams covered at your station each and every weekend.
Yeah, so we, for a lot of years now, starting, with John Hoshite, who's not with us anymore, and my dad, Jim Taylor, they did such a good job.
Not with the station. Hey, not with the station anymore. He's still with us, but not at the station.
Right. Yes. So sorry.
John's not dead. John is still alive.
John is loving retirement. Yeah, he's not with the station anymore.
The way you said that, I was like, I wanted to start blessing myself. Like, no, John is still doing great. Go ahead.
He is. So, yes, John is alive. He is alive and well. He's not with the station anymore. But him and my dad did such a great job kind of establishing the coverage and what people expect out of, WRMJ with high school sports coverage. So like you said, every week we have play-by-play coverage of Mercer County, Rock Ridge, Sherrard, and Orion during the football season. And then we have our sport mornings that runs the entirety of the school year. Our first show is coming up this Saturday, actually the 23rd at 9 a.m. You can also listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts too on demand. You don't have to listen live. So at 46th year of that, the station's been around since 1979. And basically since day one, it's been something that is covered, local sports has kind of been the focus of what we do. And I'm really excited for us to, continue that in the fall of 2025, the winter, the spring, throughout the whole school year. So, it should be a fun year, and looking forward to kicking it off with the Titans and the Golden Eagles next week.
Oh, it's going to be a ton of fun. Really good matchups in the Three Rivers. Also, you'll be hanging out with Greg Armstrong every now and then, and the View from the West guys. That guy named Mitch. There's some guy Mitch. I guess.
Mitch. Don't forget. And really, I always tell them because when they do their instant reacts on Friday nights, I always say, I really don't want to do this unless Stocking's there. So I'm hoping that Stocking is a frequent contributor. He should be ready to go with Riverdale this year. He should really be excited, and he should really take that homerism to the next level.
Oh, he is always excited. Because I think the hope is to start the instant reacts a little earlier, and with his duties at WQAD, I don't know. He was worried about not being able to be on it. It's probably just a contract thing. I think he's probably just holding out for more money. I don't blame him. You have to give that guy as much money as you possibly can. But no, he is he's one of a kind. It was funny. I was going on vacation, and I kind of half jokingly said, Stockpile, you should come out and host the show while I'm gone. And he was I think considering it. And I'm like, I don't know if I can just let you be in my house, and there's electronic stuff and everything. But think about that. A daily show. Would you watch Stockpile Says every day?
I absolutely would. And, it's funny, speaking about Stocking, you mentioned the great View from the West kickoff event we were at on Sunday night. I think, there were a lot of people there, a lot of guests they had on. To me, Brian Stocking was the most popular person there. I mean, it was incredible. He came on. It was you could hear a pin drop. Everybody had to listen to hear what he had to say. He's the biggest expert around. So I'd listen to it. And I will say, you can give Stocking all the grief you want, but I'm a little jealous because I know when he was on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, he was actually in studio
one of these days.
And look at me, I'm just here via friggin' satellite.
I should have done it today. It's funny because since we've been back, we had a little mishap in the basement. It wasn't like rainwater. It was like a pipe on the toilet upstairs. It's stupid. But since then, we're I every time I say to my wife, hey, this person might come out to the station or to the house, she's like, don't have guests right now. It's too messy. So I'm trying to pump the brakes on that. But during the season, we got to get you. You know what? We'll probably bug you every week. So at some point, we're going to make you bring me. What you're going to do is you're going to swing by the Circle K, a nice Diet Mountain Dew, a nice 48-ounce, 44-ounce Diet Mountain Dew. And you're more than welcome. You can come here every day if you bring Diet Mountain Dew with you. So, Ty, I appreciate you. Can't wait to listen to you guys this season. Sportsline starts this Saturday?
Correct. This Saturday at 9 a.m.
Love it. All right, my friend. Well, I appreciate you. Be well, and we'll catch up again real soon.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. That is Ty Taylor down at WRMJ. It is one of the most interesting conferences in our area, the Three Rivers Conference, and we'll see who comes out on top. We got more to get to. We'll head to the Western Big Six and continue our high school football previews with a chat with Matt Furlong, the head coach of the Green Machine. All that and much more coming up right here on Off the Air on a Thursday in the Quad Cities.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. We've been talking about it a little bit this week. Coming up on Sunday is the Western Big Six Coaches Banquet. It's at the Rock Island Botanical Center. Great event. Doors open at 5:30. There's an amazing MC that makes people laugh and cry. It's an emotional roller coaster the entire time. But we're going to continue our high school football previews in the Western Big Six this morning and head out to Green Machine Country and get joined by our good friend Matt Furlong. Coach, first and foremost, thank you for doing this. Are you ready for said banquet? You were the new guy last year. You're not the new guy anymore. So are you prepared for what's to come on Sunday?
Yeah, I would say more prepared than last year. I really had no idea what was going on at all. So just the second year of it, definitely will have a little bit better idea of what's going on there. And we'll definitely plan on showing up underdressed again.
I love it. I was just honestly, and this is not a joke, I thought to myself last night, I'm going to text the coaches and plan on not wearing suits because it's summer, it's hot, there's no reason for it. So you'll be getting a text from me later today, making sure we're all on the same page. Take me through the summer because it is year number 2 for you, and that's got to help out a ton. What was this offseason like compared to maybe last year in getting things more in place, your system in place, your culture, those kind of things?
Very different. That first year, a lot of it is just figuring out like what you want to do, what's there. I feel pretty fortunate with coming into Geneseo that a lot of good things, were already in place, with Coach Johnson and what he had done over the years here. So for me, it was kind of learning that of what did I wanted to keep going, what things were I going to want to change. And the biggest thing probably heading into year 2 is just the comfort level that, I have with the staff and players now, that they have with me, an understanding of what the expectations are, on everything from communicating when you're going to be absent to what practice pace looks like to when to be here and what we're doing in the weight room and just understanding the organization of everything. So, from that standpoint, it's been a pretty smooth summer, in comparison to what it was last year.
You look at the expectations and those kind of things. X's and O's wise, though, I might be making a bad analogy, but in Iowa City, Tim Lester took over last year, and now this year, everybody's talking about how much deeper they are into that playbook or more comfortable they are with what's going on. Is that something with you as well, where kids are more comfortable with the way you want things to look on the field as well?
100%. We've been talking about this as a staff and just with our kids. At this point, we've got our full playbook in. Offensively, we're adding things defensively in comparison to what we're doing last year, and we really feel like right now, we're coaching stuff with our kids that was like stuff we're getting to in like week 6, 7, 8 last year. And we're already at that point already. You can finally get into more of the details and the finer points of stuff, the bigger understanding of things, where like last year we just weren't at the point where we're going to be able to handle that. So when it comes to the scheme and the understanding of it, along with those other things I talked about, it's been a huge leap forward for us this year.
Talk to me about some of those names that we'll hear this year. Who do you like? Offensively, I guess we'll start first. What's the identity? What's the strengths of this team as you guys get ready to hit the ground running, in about a week, a little more than a week?
Yeah, so we've got skill-wise, we got quite a few guys back. So Jackson McAvoy, our quarterback's back, who's is probably the best example of someone who's taken that next step. His understanding of the offense, understanding, his reads, what he needs to see, what he needs to do, just his confidence in it and his aggression in it has gotten significantly better, here through the off season and the summer. We've got Kai Weinzierl coming back, as a running back slot. He can be a dynamic player, both in the running game and the passing game. We got some other guys who got some action last year there with Quinn Van Hefty and Keenan Ariano will get bigger runs this year. Mark Nelms will be a junior, played some linebacker for us last year. That'll have a bigger role within the offense there. And then really up front is where we're going to need to see the biggest growth kind of as the year goes. We got one senior back there as a returner. We got another senior who will work in. Then we're going to have a bunch of juniors and sophomores kind of working their way in there with guys like Josh Stahl, Ethan Brown, Jaden Shipman, Eric Bajorkman. Freddie Jimenez will be a senior who's coming back, who was a JV kid last year and is a great example of, guys sticking with, a process over 4 years, and as someone who was a freshman B kid as a younger player and a JV guy the last couple of years and just stuck with it and is doing a great job for us this year. So excited for him. And then tight ends, we got a couple guys back, Carter Holke, and Hayden Schaff, and then Brendan Lambin will be a senior that will see some action, who was out with injuries last year. So, we got definitely more experience than what we had, coming back last year there as far as guys who got some varsity run last year. Then obviously with that second year in it, feel confident in where we're at because those guys are feeling confident.
Absolutely. Some familiarity is a good thing. Matt Furlong joining me right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Talk to me about the Green Machine defense. How does it look? Obviously, defense is a very important side of the football. How do the Green Machine look coming into this fall?
Similar to offense. So we kind of same thing. We got quite a few skilled kids back with some experience. With Lincoln Barnett in the secondary, Keenan Ariano kind of returning there, Jack Mickley. And then we got quite a few kind of sophomore, junior type kids who are kind of battling for playing time there, and work our way into the spots. Excuse me. Kai Weinzierl, will be kind of in this middle of our defense like he was last year and is an impactful player there. We got Peyton Hofer back and one of our linebackers who kind of plays our flex position there. And then kind of the same thing up front, we got some new kids who are going to be working their way in. And, a lot of it for us on both sides of the ball are going to be kind of how quickly those guys adapt and come around. But, again, we're doing things up there that last year we never even got to at this point. So, kind of happy with that. And both our offense and defense are kind of different from what you see a lot these days. So there is some learning curves there, but feel good at where we're at.
Coach, last season, as you mentioned, was maybe a roller coaster ride of getting comfortable and all those kind of things. But the results came at the end of the year. I think you won 2 of the last 3. You had to go to Rock Island and win to get in the playoffs. You win that game and then go ahead and win a playoff game as well. To have those kids see success or see that, like, if they stay the course, this is going to work. How much does that help for you during the summer? Maybe even to this year, that if they stay the course, this is the results that can come if we keep working hard and all those kind of things.
Yeah, without a doubt. We really felt last year around week 7-ish, things started to click, and especially defensively in the Sterling game and afterwards. And then offense kind of hitting into that Quincy and Rocky game was kind of where we felt like kids were starting to get it. And, and even, through the playoffs with Chicago DePaul, one of the big things we talked about last year was just getting back to being competitive all the time. And regardless of who we're up against or how things are going, is continuing to compete. And really felt like the kids bought into that as the season went. And, there by the end, that was one of the more encouraging things that we saw. Is that taking hold, and then they've been outstanding with that, carrying it over in the off season with our lifting, what we've been doing in the weight room with Coach James, and just that piece with it. And then obviously anytime you can get some wins there to close out, get some extra weeks of practice there in the playoffs. That's always huge.
Coach, it's funny. I started these 3 weeks ago, and when I started them, coaches were like, man, I don't know. We just need more time, and we need that. And then it's funny. It's kind of changed to like maybe this week I've talked to them off the air as we get ready to go, and they're like, we're just ready to get going. We're just ready to hit somebody. Obviously, you probably always want more time to get ready, and you never feel fully prepared. But are you that team, or is Geneseo, are they just ready to hit somebody else and kind of see what it looks like outside of practice and what they're doing with themselves?
Yeah, we were actually talking about this last night at practice. You kind of hit that point where, especially with football, we've had 18 days of summer. We've had 2 weeks of practice here now. Once you get into the season, you've got that routine of your week. Then you get the game at the end. So you practice so much before you actually get some game action. And I think that's where we're at, and a lot of people are at, is right now you're almost fighting some of the boredom and the routine of going through practice consistently. And, that was one of the things we were talking about with our kids was, great teams find ways to, when things do get bored and routine, of understanding the importance of that routine and what we're doing and trying to develop positive habits and do all those little things over and over again through those repetitions so we get great at it. And we're kind of at that point now where like you can feel the routine and some of that's getting to them and they just need something. So yeah, excited to be where we're at here finally.
Absolutely. Matt Furlong joining me right now and off there with Matt Randazzo. Just 2 more for you. Last year you got to Geneseo and you knew about the tradition and all of those kind of things. And you hit the ground running. What was it like in the building? Because it seems like it's a great fit for you with the community, the tradition that's there, the football that people love. What's it been on that side of things? Because it seemed like a perfect fit when I met you last year and got to know what Geneseo is. Obviously, it seems like a good fit in that sense as well.
Yeah, I feel very comfortable here. Over this last year and kind of getting to know everyone. We got a football staff that has been a good mix of a lot of guys back and holdovers from who was on Coach Johnson's staff and some of them, for 20 years now. And then some newer guys that have come in too and kind of brought some fresh perspective and that stuff with it. And then within the community, there's just a lot of people that love Geneseo football, and want to see it succeed and want to see it do well, whether that's within the school, people out in the community. There's just a lot of support for it. And, I think, kind of my philosophy on football and what we want the program to look like, matches up well with what's worked here in the past and, what people in the community are willing to buy into.
Absolutely. Before I let you go, I can't let you go without talking to you about week 2. And I know you're not supposed to talk about week 2 before week 1, all that kind of stuff. But this is different because it's the Iron Showdown. Assumption and Geneseo. It was such a big deal. We had yourself and Gilly on the show when it was announced and all that kind of stuff. And it seemed like, well, that's going to be fun way down the road. Well, down the road is getting here. I'm not putting cart ahead of horse. Week 1 is most important, but how excited are you for that week 2 showdown with a very familiar school to you and 2 just traditionally really good football programs and schools and traditions?
Yeah, we're excited, as we had mentioned back in the spring when we're on, that we're able to get this worked out. And for me, I think it's a good matchup of 2 programs with good traditions, that are on similar paths right now, with Nate being in year 2 over there, us being in year 2 with me here, both teams who are looking to kind of take that next step, as far as, building the program and seeing that success play out onto the field. And then, you get 2, passionate fan bases as well, so we're excited just for the energy, that some of that's brought, for us and within the communities. I hope it's something that, some other kind of Quad City area schools between the Iowa side and the Illinois side will look into here a little bit more going forward and finding ways to make this work because it's nice just like travel times, as opposed to going to Wisconsin or the suburbs or somewhere else to find a game week 1 or week 2. And then just getting that local flavor and some different matchups that, I think, can help with those fan bases too, as far as the excitement for it and filling up a stadium.
No, it's going to be a blast. That's week 2, but week 1 is Rochelle. Coach, I appreciate your time as always. I know life is busy. Your days are busy. Your afternoons and evenings are even busier. So thank you for doing this. And we'll see you Sunday. Keep the tie, keep the suit at home. We're not going to do that nonsense. We'll talk some football with you on Sunday. All right, my friend. I appreciate you. Stay healthy, all that good stuff. Best of luck. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
All right, that is Matt Furlong, the head coach over at Geneseo High School, as the Maple Leafs will get rolling 1 week from this Friday. They head to Rochelle to take on Rochelle, and like Coach said, it was cool to watch them grow last year. You could see them get better throughout the season, for them to get to the postseason, to win a playoff game, and have that momentum heading into year 2 under Coach Furlong. It's going to be a good fall out in Geneseo, and we'll maybe be taking the show on the road to Geneseo week 2. That might be a thought process that we'll talk a little bit down the road. So anyways, you're watching Off the Air with Matt Randazzo on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. We'll be right back. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss pre-arrangements.
Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need mobile party experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile party experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470 and book your mobile party experience today. When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. Thursday, August 21st. Thank you guys for joining us. If you're watching us live on YouTube, thank you for that. If you're watching us on X, thank you for putting up with us. I think we've had like a few bumps, which means another video starting on X, but it's all there and rocking and rolling through a Thursday in the Quad Cities. We want to thank our guest, Chad Leistikow, Ty Taylor and Matt Furlong, the head coach of Geneseo. Before we go, I wanted to kind of get to some of our news and notes that we normally do at the top. I wanted to get right to Chad and get the most amount of time out of him as I could. So a few things when it comes to the world of sports I want to talk about, and kind of a good feel-good story. And I don't say a lot of nice things about the Chicago Bears, but yesterday they signed their backup quarterback, Tyler Bagent, to a new 2-year contract extension worth $10 million up to $16 million. He's looked great in camp. In fact, I've had a lot of people text me that maybe he looks better than, anyways. Caleb looked good the other night, so I shouldn't get too tough with him yet. But Tyler Bagent's looked good, and I think he fits great in Ben Johnson's system of being an efficient quarterback who knows where to put the football, when to put it, all that kind of stuff. So he signed that deal, and obviously a undrafted quarterback. I loved his press conference yesterday, or his availability with the media yesterday. Here's what he had to say about his extension, and you can tell it means a lot to the young man.
I think that a lot of people don't know this, but my dad is he's my right hand man, and he didn't even have running water until he was in high school. So there's definitely a lot of things and people that I think I could certainly help with this gift I've been blessed with. But just little things like that. Like, I don't really know anybody back at home with any money, so it feels good. I mean, it's certainly a weight off my shoulders and my family's shoulders, and it definitely means a lot.
And you can tell how much it means to him. A really cool story in sports when you hear billions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars being thrown around all the place. You see what it means to a young man to get that type of money and come from where he's came from to where he's at now. So cool stuff with the Bears. And I don't say a lot of nice things about the Bears, but cool stuff for Tyler Bagent. I look forward to him to be the starting quarterback by midseason. Maybe even earlier. No, I'm kidding. So, Logan Lee, a local standout, former Hawkeye, former Orient standout in camp with the Steelers for year 2. He's battling for a playoff spot, kicking butt, doing what he normally does. And this happened over the weekend, and I meant to get to it a lot earlier than this, and Logan had told us he can long snap. He's a good long snapper. Well, there was a few injuries, and he was forced into action as a long snapper in their game against the Buccaneers. And you can see right there, did a pretty decent job. I think those are all of his long snaps, but versatility is a thing in the NFL, and Logan showing that he has just that, some versatility. Of course, I don't think they hope that he's a long snapper in the future, but everything that I've read is that he is grinding. I've read several places yesterday that have him on the 53-man roster. I had some that said maybe practice squad after the 53 is set. Obviously in a really successful organization with Pittsburgh, I know it fits him great. So we'll keep an eye out for Logan Lee and see how he does when the final rosters are set, I believe next week. I think it's like next Wednesday. So less than a week away. We wish Logan the best of luck. Keep kicking butt and keep doing good things for the Pittsburgh Steelers, whether it's stopping the run, getting to the quarterback, or snapping as a long snapper. Logan showing that he can do it all for the Steelers. And I had the Cubs on here, and I can't find it now, so I'm not going to mess with it. But the Cubs did win their third straight over the Brewers. They're now 6 back in the Central. They were as many as 9, now 6. They got one more game at 120. Win that one, suddenly it's 5. That'd be 4 in a row against the Brewers. Don't put cart ahead of horse. But Matt Shaw continuing to play great baseball. Everyone wanted him traded. Everyone thought that was a trade piece to get more pitching. He's playing really, really well. So he hit a homer late in that game to make it 4-2. They end up winning 4-3. So Cubs, Brewers, 120 today. See if the Cubs can take 4 to 5 from the Brewers. That would be huge for their, not even that, they're now 5.5 up in the wild card. So that got a little dicey earlier. Now they're doing much better in the wild card. So It's been a good week on the north side of Chicago. It's been a fun Thursday here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. We greatly appreciate you joining us. We thank our guests once again as well. Chad Leistikow, Ty Taylor, and Matt Furlong, the head coach of Geneseo, joining us today. We also want to thank our great sponsors for allowing us to do this each and every day in the Quad Cities, and excited for Skiles Driving School in East Moline to join us here in the very near future. And add to the fun of what's been going on here with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. One more show this week, tomorrow, and then next week is football week. A lot to get to tomorrow or next week on the show as we get ready for the start of football season. But we will have one more show tomorrow, maybe Pat Anger, hopefully Pat Anger, and a whole bunch more. So thanks, guys, for watching a Thursday edition of Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. We will see you guys back here tomorrow.